Welcome to the Voice of Retail. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc. This podcast is brought to you in conjunction with Retail Council of Canada. In this episode, I'm connecting with John Porter, founder and CEO of Barter. We catch up and explore the innovative and exciting world of modern barter, a system that has taken the age-old practice of one-to-one bartering and transformed it into a one-to-many organized system where thousands of businesses are converting their unsold time and space and idle inventory into what they need and conserving their hard-earned cash.
For sure, yeah. So we had a jewelry store in Hamilton right when the pandemic hit. They were sitting on about, $40,000, $50,000 worth of beautiful jewelry, but it was in their clearance section, marked down the typical 30, 40, 50% off kind of thing. And they had some of that product, anywhere from 1 year, it was 1 year old up to about 7 years old. And they needed a new website. They wanted to really get things moving along with their website, their digital presence, e-commerce, and that sort of thing. So without Barter Pay, they would have had to go out, spend, say, $10,000 in their hard-earned cash on hand to go and buy that website. Instead, they made the smart choice to join Barter Pay. We connected them with their barter coach. We put aside a bunch of their inventory into that barter mall we're talking about. We then blasted it out to our network.
Let's listen in now. John, welcome to the Voice of Retail podcast. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, thanks so much, Michael. It's great to be here. I'm doing great.
Well, it's great to hear your voice. You and I have met a couple of times. I think the last time we met was at the RC show on the restaurant side of the business. You'd been continue to do some work in that. So it's been a long time since you and I have been together in person. So again, it's great to hear your voice and great things going on with Retail Council of Canada and your initiatives. I want to talk all about that, all about barter, all about Barter Pay, how this works, and what's different about this now, and all those great things. But let's start at the beginning. Tell us about yourself, your background, and your role at Barter Pay.
Perfect. Yeah. So, my name is John Porter, founder and CEO of Barter Pay. I've actually been in the barter payment space for 25 years this September. Wow. Way too early to the market 25 years ago. Small businesses weren't really ready for sort of this whole digital sort of form of doing business and digital currency, that sort of thing. But yeah, so been in the payment space for a long time, barter, and love it. Love consulting with small businesses, helping them, utilize their unsold time and space or their idle inventory to get the things that they need, which can really boost their bottom line. And Barter Pay launched in May of 2018. And since then, we've been kind of growing pretty rapidly. And really excited for the future here to help all these small businesses in this way.
That's fantastic. Now, we're all virtual, so to speak, but whereabouts are you located? Where do you call home?
Yeah, so I live in the Niagara region in a little town called Vineland, and just nice. 22 minutes down the road, down the QEW towards Hamilton, just in Stony Creek there is where our head office is for Canada. So I spend most of my time during the day out of the office at this point. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about Barter Pay. So unpack it for us, how it works. You said in the beginning, early days, it was maybe a little too early days. I remember in my career, there was the opportunity for barter on media credits and different things, but it wasn't what it was today because the infrastructure wasn't there and the digital savviness, so to speak, wasn't there either. So tell me how it works, the industries you cover, the size of businesses, and let's get started there.
Yeah, for sure. So, basically at this point, we're a social profit enterprise that helps businesses across Canada get what they need without having to use any money. Instead, they can just, offer up their spare capacity, their unsold time and space, or in this case, for the retail audience, their idle inventory. So, we all know, like we've already talked about, bartering is really the oldest form of commerce. It's how business was invented, right, a long time ago. But for two people to actually enter into a fair trade, each side has to want what the other person has at the same time and at the same value. And so it's actually called the coincidence of wants. And so to solve that problem, we've just essentially created this platform, this marketplace, this closed loop ecosystem where a business can now open an account with Barter Pay. So a retailer, say, they can then offer up their idle inventory to the system, to the network, in exchange for barter credits. And one barter credit equals $1 Canadian for valuation, accounting, and tax. So they can offer up this inventory. They bank this newly earned revenue stream in the form of barter credits. Then they can take that barter credit, it doesn't expire, and they can go and barter and trade with anybody in the entire ecosystem. So no longer are they restricted to this one-on-one bartering transaction. It's now a one-to-many ecosystem where everybody is getting what they need in exchange for what they have and buying at their wholesale cost of goods, essentially.
And so this ecosystem you describe, it's coast to coast in Canada, or is it provincial, or is it your next door neighbor, or is it, tell me about that.
Yeah, so currently we've got about 18 locations across Canada, about almost 4,000 members and growing pretty quickly. So we're from Victoria, BC, all the way to Moncton, New Brunswick, and most of the areas in between. But we're looking to really obviously scale up and get full coverage across the country. And so we're in the process of sort of expanding in that way.
Now, in your model, why does it matter that there's a physical presence in whether it's Moncton or Victoria? Can you become a member and offer up inventory, so to speak, virtually, or unpack that for me?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, when COVID hit back in March, we really pivoted quickly to even launch our own online sort of barter mall. It's like a multi-vendor marketplace. So now retailers anywhere in the country, it doesn't matter where you're located, can actually join Barter Pay, establish their account. They can then take certain portions of their inventory that they feel is more idle, excess capacity, excess inventory. They can load that into our Barter Shopify mall. Our clients shop through the mall. They can then bank those barter credits, pick, pack, and ship like they normally would with any e-commerce transaction. And so borders are becoming less of a sort of a quote unquote an issue with the whole bartering system. But at the same time, people buy and sell. 95% of their transactions happen in their own local marketplace, especially when it comes to services. So in terms of bartering is all based on proximity as well, because again, the whole service-based industry. So we like to grow in clusters and cities, but essentially as we start to grow and expand and go from 4,000 members to 100,000 members across Canada, we're going to weave together the entire ecosystem across the country, the businesses, and they can all do business with each other through the bartering system.
Can you give me a couple of examples that you've seen on the platform to just continue to flesh this out? So,
for sure, yeah.
Let's start there. Give me a couple of examples of how, and you name names or not of members, but some examples of what transactions kind of happen. Again, I think the more examples, the better to help help folks understand what exactly they can do with the platform.
For sure, yeah. So we had a jewelry store in Hamilton right when the pandemic hit. They were sitting on about $40,000-$50,000 worth of beautiful jewelry, but it was in their clearance section, marked down the typical 30, 40, 50% off kind of thing. And they had some of that product, anywhere from 1 year, it was 1 year old up to about 7 years old. And they needed a new website. They wanted to really get things moving along with their website, their digital presence, e-commerce, and that sort of thing. So without Barter Pay, they would have had to go out, spend, say, $10,000 in their hard-earned cash on hand to go and buy that website. Instead, they made the smart choice to join Barter Pay. We connected them with their barter coach. We put aside a bunch of their inventory into that barter mall we're talking about. We then blasted it out to our network, and about first week we sold $15,000 worth of that clearance jewelry at the regular retail price. So they banked those 15,000 barter credits from about 8 different buyers across Canada. Then they took those barter credits and used them to get the website from another member of the ecosystem who builds websites. So essentially, they're able to conserve cash in that way because they're not touching new cash to get their website. They're simply taking sunk cost inventory and switching it for the website by leveraging the organized bartering system. So to accomplish that same transaction the old barter way, they literally have to find a web development company that wants $15,000 worth of that clearance jewelry, and that's not going to work, right? That's just not going to line up properly. So
that's funny. It's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, like, who would buy that much jewelry? But so what you're saying is these 8 people each bought a piece. Let's say they had 100 pieces, just for easy math. So 8 people bought those 100 pieces. So that goes out to everywhere, and then it created a credit that they could pick up and turn around and use with this website development company.
Correct. Yeah. So it creates a multi-directional one-to-many ecosystem barter transactions instead of that conundrum of the coincidence of wants, one-on-one transaction. So super excited for that. And they were super happy because, hey, they didn't, they could take that cash that they maybe were going to earmark for their website, and then they could use it for something else that they couldn't barter for, like some leasehold improvements or, maybe some PPE, the extra PPE that they needed or whatever. So it's, anything from small retailers, direct to consumer, right up to larger retailers. We're actually starting to get a number of larger retailers contact us who are sitting, we're talking 1,000 plus locations across Canada, and each dealer is sitting on certain amounts of idle inventory that's not being utilized. And if they're able to leverage that and get value for it at the full retail value, and then turn around and offset a cash expenditure in the future, just so many positive benefits from being able to do that.
Now, you mentioned this idea of a barter coach. What's that?
So a barter coach. So what we do is we, whenever a business joins Barter Pay, they get their account number, but we really connect them to a real life human. And that barter coach comes alongside the client and the member in 2 ways. Number one, to help them market their goods or services out to the system in order to earn barter credits. And number two, to work with that member on their wish list of things they might want from the system. So we know that businesses are very busy, have a lot of things on the go, and they're not going to always be thinking about barter pay top of mind. So having that coach that they can lean on to help them, earn barter credits and utilize barter credits, almost like an extension of their own team. We know that that's one of the ways that we can create success for our members is that client relationship.
I see. So you got a subject matter expert, knows the ecosystem, kind of coaches them on how to use it, and then looks for opportunities and just make sure they're successful, right? I mean, that
exactly
sounds like the objective, right?
100%, yeah.
All right. So the big news is you partnered with the Retail Council of Canada. You're now a member benefit partner. So let's start with your base offer, so to speak, to the members. Then we'll talk about some exciting, something else that you did that's really exciting. But what's the base offer for members of Retail Council of Canada?
Yep. So any RCC member, when they join Barter Pay, will get a $175 bill credit compliments of RCC upon their account activation. And so that's a great offer from Retail Council of Canada. And Barter Pay essentially covers their cost of joining and their first 3 months monthly fee of their subscription on their account. Okay,
so you got your base offer, which is available now, and you can go onto retailcouncil.org, find that in the benefits section. Now, put out a press release, and you've got this exciting grant program. So unpack that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, if you're an RCC member, it's actually 100% free to join. No monthly fee for 3 months. And we're also offering a grant matching program. So what we've done is we've earmarked 25 million barter credits to the retail sector across Canada, to small independent retailers. And essentially what we do is as soon as they open their account, we start to connect with that barter coach. We start to market their idle inventory out to the network. And as soon as we've helped them sell $1,000 worth of their idle inventory at the full retail value, in other words, they've banked that first 1,000 barter credits, we then match it from Barter Pay with a grant of 1,000 barter credits. So they're getting like 2,000 barter credits for the first $1,000 in idle inventory, which then they can go take those barter credits and upgrade their website or buy some PPE or do some leasehold improvements or some printing or customer appreciation, whatever it is that they want to get back from the system. And it's just distributing that value across the retail sector that's been so badly hurt by the pandemic. And we just want to do whatever we can to help the sector recover.
It sounds like a great initiative. And did you say $25 million? Did
I get that 25 right? million barter credits. Yep.
Wow. 25 million barter credits. And as you said, they're valued at $1 each for your tax and all the accountants listening kind of thing, right?
For sure. Yeah. It's 100%. The CRA values one barter credit as $1 Canadian. So any small business that banks a barter credit or business that banks a barter credit, it's considered revenue. And when they spend a barter credit, it's considered an expense. HST or PST, GST still applies.
Okay. So you got it all figured out. I mean, this is these are some of my questions: is how you take this age-old system and you put it in the modern era and still be, A, flexible and B, compliant and make it really useful. So it sounds great. Now let's talk about what you're hearing from your members. You said you've got 4,000 members. I mean, you're at this intersection now at this most unusual time. I mean, you launched this long before the COVID crisis, and it feels like the COVID era provides both opportunity and risk. I feel like once we get past this period that we're in, each province is having their own different type of COVID era, the Atlantic bubble notwithstanding, and that there's a lot of, can I call it enthusiasm? I mean, there's a lot of optimism for when we're past this, and innovation going to happen. Is that your sense as well?
Well, I think it is. And at the end of the day, small business owners and entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of the Canadian economy. They're some of the most resilient, people on the planet. And so, just building a business without COVID is hard to do. With COVID, it's harder. But those that made a quick pivot and are actually embracing that innovation you're talking about, things like Barter Pay, eCommerce. There's lots of other great programs out there that are being rolled out by the government, both provincially and nationally. So, yeah, there's optimism for sure, and so we're just excited to partner with these businesses and help them navigate this as best as possible. And yeah, we're just hoping for the best, and we know that we're doing some good work, and that they are too. And if we just partner together, and we can create a strong recovery for the small business sector.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Well, so where can folks? We talked about retailcouncil.org. Is that the best place to start to learn about Barter Pay? I imagine you've got a website as well where they can kind of how do people? I imagine when you first think about signing up for Barter Pay, you kind of want to go to the site and see what your universe of possibilities are. Is that typical for people as they try to understand the value proposition?
Yes, it is typical. And we want them to go, like for retailers specifically, we created a special website at retail.barterpay.ca. So it's retail.barterpay.ca. It's the best place to go. We really want to have a one-on-one 10, 15-minute discovery call with everybody that comes through, because we don't want them to, join if there's not a good fit. And so it's a community that we're creating across Canada. So we just want to make sure there's a good fit. So it's simple. Just go through the website a little bit. There's some great testimonials there, some great videos, some press releases, some, news media coverage and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the call to action is, book a quick discovery call. It's easy. Click, Zoom, book a Zoom call. And we'll get on the phone. We'll determine if there's a fit. If there's a fit, we'll onboard you right away. If we don't feel there's a fit, then we'll just say, hey, we don't think there's a fit at this time. So that's the best way to do it.
And your assessment of fit, as you describe it, is basically when someone calls you and say, I have this type of merchandise or this kind of idea, you'll kind of give them, listen, that's perfect for the platform, or maybe that's not the right fit for the platform. Is that the kind of discussion that you're talking about?
Correct. Yep. And also set their expectations of what they can get back and what they might be looking for. And if somebody's looking to trade off a bunch of idle inventory and then pay for their mortgage or get fuel for their car, or, pay their core wages to their staff or their rent, those are things that are going to be very difficult to barter for. So it's just making sure there's a fit on both sides. Number one, the marketability of their products that they have, but also what they're looking for, and making sure that we manage those expectations properly and that everybody's going to win. So that's kind of how we assess that.
What are the top 3 things that people barter for? I mean, you've talked about website development once or twice. Like, do you have a sense of, if I'm a retailer and I have physical stock, which is mostly the case amongst the members, they've got some physical stock like the jeweler did. What are the 3 most popular things that you find on the platform solve that or are bartered, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a few key categories that we cover. We're seeing a lot of transactions in these categories. Number one, retailers even buying from other retailers, obviously, but travel and tourism, we're seeing a pickup in that from a local perspective, and we want to help that sector as well. Anything from hotels and golf, attractions, that sort of thing. Construction and trades, plumbers, roofers, electricians, drywallers, and that sort of thing. Media and advertising. Whenever you can take your idle inventory and turn it into barter credits at retail value, and then get purchase advertising or media that can then drive more cash traffic through your door. That's really a great way to use barter credits. Professional services, whether it's accountants, lawyers, architects, engineers, that sort of thing. Health and wellness, anything from dental to optical to spas, massage therapy, the restaurant and the food service industry. And then obviously business services is huge, especially right now with the web development, marketing, advertising, e-commerce, SEO, consulting. All those sort of services are huge as well. Yeah.
No, it's a wider range than I had imagined initially, but I get now. Maybe I've got some widgets, and you can reserve a meeting space when we can all get back together and get that team together and get your team back in the same place off Zoom and get reacquainted off the camera. That's I hadn't thought of that, but that's interesting, right? So
yeah, absolutely,
very, very interesting in advertising and marketing. I guess that's where the local comes in handy as well, right? Whether it's if you're in Moncton and you want to talk to people in that community, you've got perhaps some media in there. All right. Well, listen, It's been a great overview. I'm going to put links in the show notes to the URLs that you mentioned, so that people can check the show notes and in case they didn't get that written down. But listen, it's been great having you on the podcast, John. You and I have been talking for a little bit, and finally we get together. And thanks for joining me on the Voice of Retail podcast.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Voice of Retail. Be sure and follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy podcasts, so you don't miss out on the latest episodes, industry news, and insights. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a rating review, as it really helps us grow so that we continue to get amazing guests onto the show. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc, president of LeBlanc Company Inc., and if you're looking for more content or want to chat, follow me on LinkedIn or visit my website at leblanc.co. Until next time, stay safe, have a great week.